Austin, and I'm here to talk about the workability and disadvantages of their proposed banning of guns federally. A study by Professor Gary Kleck at the University of Florida indicates that civilians alone use firearms somewhat around 1.5 million to 2 million times each year as a order of crime to protect themselves. So basically, with their law, they'd be taking away the civilians' ability to protect themselves, and they'd basically be handing the criminals the keys to do whatever they wanted, because obviously a criminal's not going to follow the laws that are put in place. A quote by Thomas Jefferson says, "The laws that forbid the carrying of guns disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Can it be supposed that those who have the courage to violate the most sacred laws of humanity respect the less important and arbitrary ones? Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man." Basically, this is just saying, like I said, that criminals would be given free range to do whatever they want through this law, and it would directly affect the general public in a negative way. According to a statistic by the Hartford Institute, or the Heartland Institute, I apologize. In 1982, the city of Chicago instituted a ban on handguns. The ban barred civilians from possessing handguns except for those registered in the city government prior to the enactment of the law. The law also specified that such handguns had to be re-registered every 2 years, or owners would forfeit the right to possess them. In 1994, the law was amended to require annual registration, and since the outset of the Chicago handgun ban, the percentage of Chicago murders committed with handguns has averaged 40 times higher than it was before the law took effect. And in other countries where they tried to do a complete ban of handguns, such as England, also the rates of homicide with guns went up. According to the British Home Office, handgun homicides in England and Wales reached an all-time high in 2000. Years after a virtual ban on private handgun ownership, more than 3,000 crimes involving handguns were reported in 1999 through 2000, including 42 homicides, 110 cases of attempted murder, 2,561 robberies, and 402 burglaries. This just shows that criminals would just do whatever they want because civilians cannot defend themselves under such a law. In Australia, they also tried to do a similar thing, and they had similar results with homicides using guns increasing because civilians can't defend themselves from people with guns. In a quote from Mike Orko of the Chicago Tribune, "Strict gun laws are about as effective as strict drug laws. It pains me to say this, but the NRA seems to be right. The cities and states that have the toughest gun laws have the most murders and mayhem." Also, in a survey from the National Institute of Justice, 74% of felons polled agreed that one reason burglars avoid houses when people are at home is that they fear being shot during the crime. In the same survey, 57% of felons polled agreed that criminals are more worried about meeting an armed victim than they are about running into the police. And 60% of felons polled agreed that a criminal is not going to mess around with a victim he knows is armed with a gun. John Fieldstein, a CBS producer, said, "As a card-carrying member of the liberal media, producing a piece is eye-opening. Producing this piece called Women with Guns, Street Stories was an eye-opening experience. I had to admit that I saw guns as inherently evil, violent begets violence, and so on. I have learned, however, that in trained hands, just as the presence of however, yeah. I have learned, however, that in trained hands, just the presence of a gun can be a real man-stopper. I am sorry that women have had to resort to this, but wishing it wasn't so won't make it any safer out there. And in a quote from Thomas Sowell, an American economist and social critic and political commentator, the biggest hypocrites on gun control are those who live in upscale developments with armed security guards and who want to keep other people from having guns to defend themselves. But what about the lower income people living in high crime inner city neighborhoods? Should such people be kept unarmed and helpless so the limousine liberals can make a statement by adding to the thousands of gun laws already on the books?